Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes because we're expecting a few more people before we get started.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. I think we'll give it one more minute to 9:03. We still are expecting more people, but I don't want to slow our program down. So just one more moment and we will get rolling. Okay, 9:03 start. Good morning, everybody. This is Ellen Abrams speaking from Mercy Housing. I'm the Regional Philanthropy Director, and I am thankful that you're all with us this morning to talk about our exciting project at 8315 East Colfax, the project itself, but especially the Early Childhood Education Center. So thank you all for joining us. Before we get going, I just wanted to cover a couple of things. The first point I wanted to talk about was the Zoom call that we're on now. We just hope the internet gods are with us today and that everything goes okay. We think we have everything covered. We have some other staff people helping do certain things behind the scenes, but please be patient. We don't do this day in and day out. If you could all, if you're not already, and if you're not presenting in the program, keep yourself on mute. We're not a huge group, so if anybody has anything to say, please feel free to unmute yourself to ask a question or make a comment. That being said, we will have at the end of the presentation a little bit more formal question and answer session. So if you could save your questions for that period of time, that would be great. You can also, if you don't want to forget your question, use the chat screen option in Zoom. And Jennifer, who I'll introduce in a moment, will be making note of those. And during the question and answer session, we will address any of those questions or comments. So hopefully we'll have no tech issues. And the only other thing I wanted to add is that we are going to be recording this call. Jennifer, that's cue for you to hit record so that we could share this on our website. And in case anybody has any follow-up questions about it. Continuing on, before we get into the actual presentation, in light of everything going on in the world today, we felt that we wanted to take a moment of silence in honor of George Floyd and many others, and in support of equity for all. I truly hope that the heartbreaking and powerful events of the last few weeks bring the positive change that so many deserve. So if you all wouldn't mind allowing us all to take a moment of silence, it would be great. Thank you, everybody. Jennifer, if you could move on to the next slide, we can get going here. So I wanted to just give you a quick overview of what the next little while is going to entail. We are, like I said, we are here to discuss our project on East Colfax and the Early Childhood Center in particular. So we're going to talk about the purpose of the project and an overview of it, and then the vision for the programming, the vision for the design of it, and then talk about the exciting capital campaign that we're in the middle of and the next steps that we hope to follow through with. Next, please. And before we begin the actual presentation, I just wanted to take a minute to introduce you all to the people presenting this morning. I've already introduced myself, but we're just going to take a few minutes here. Kuhl, if you could say a quick hello to all of us.
Yes, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Kuhl Brown. I'm the Regional Director for Real Estate Development at Mercy Housing Mountain Plains.
Thank you. Jennifer Tebow. Jennifer is not part of the presentation, but we may need her help in answering a few questions. So I wanted to make sure that we all got to say a quick hello to Jennifer Tebow as well. Jennifer?
Hey, everybody. Ellen's making me nervous saying I'm going to have to answer questions, but I'm Jennifer Tebow, and I am Vice President of Operations. Happy to answer any questions that I can. So I get to work closely with the resident services programming, as well as philanthropy, and pretty much everybody in the Mountain Plains region. Welcome.
Thank you. And next I'd like to introduce Pamela Harris from Mile High Early Learning, who we're partnering with on this project. Pamela?
Great. Good morning, everyone. I see many familiar names. I'm Pamela Harris. I'm the president at Mile High Early Learning. And we have currently 9 centers around Denver that provide early care and education, as well as drop-in care. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And then lastly, I wanted to introduce Tim Van Meter and Lauren Daly. They are from Van Meter Williams Pollock, the architect and designer of the Colfax project. Tim, you want to say a quick hello?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Tim Van Meter Williams Pollock. We're excited to be part of this project and continue a 30-year relationship with Mercy that we've had for 30 years. And almost all the things we have been able to produce with Mercy are mixed use with a ground floor use. So the ECE fits right within our joint wheelhouse.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please, Jennifer. I'm going to ask Kuehl to come back on to talk about the Early Childhood Education Center overview. Kuehl, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Ellen. And everybody, I failed to mention kind of in my introduction, I'm also very involved in this project, essentially as a project manager and from the get-go. So really excited about the project. And just by way, I think everyone on the call probably knows who Mercy Housing is. But Mercy Housing Mountain Plains, we are a nonprofit. We have 28 years of operations and experience with about 3,000 affordable units developed and operated. So Mercy develops, owns, and operates for the long term, and we really seek to be great neighbors in the communities where we develop. And as far as the project that we're presenting today, the 8315 East Colfax, Mercy Housing, we've been really thoughtful and intentional to committing, developing a co-located family affordable housing project with a ground floor commercial early childhood education center. This is a model we've used in other national regions. We know it works well, and we're really excited to partner with folks on the ground here in Denver to get this going. Some of the impacts of early childhood education are presented on the slide. They really can't be overstated. We've listed some on this slide, and many of you on the call probably know many more, and this is a small list. And lastly, I wanted to say that we are actively thinking through the lessons that are rapidly developing with the COVID-19 protocols at commercial child care centers. We know we're seeking to mitigate these through design and programming, and for any future impacts for this virus and any others that may be coming down the line. Next slide, please. So why East Colfax and why ECE? This slide again presents a lot of data. This is the tip of the iceberg for data for ECE, and especially in the East Colfax neighborhood. We are committed to the East Colfax community and know what's important. We've partnered with the city on this project, Mile High Early Learning, and a lot of the local education stakeholders that are even on this call. We've reached out and talked about the need for ECE, especially affordable quality childcare in the East Colfax neighborhood of Denver. And these are the experts that really support us in this area. Why now? Again, we know the impact of COVID-19 on local child care centers in Denver will be dramatic. We know this current picture of the neighborhood and region will become worse as smaller centers without the federal and state operating funding, such as Mile High Early Learning utilizes, simply won't make it. Next. Little project overview for those. This is an orientation slide of the map and the site. The site is currently, it's an abandoned building. It's become a community nuisance and security issue. The city currently owns it, and there's a lot of local momentum and support for Mercy's redevelopment plan. I also wanted to point out we're in a high transit corridor. We have great walkability, access to parks, shops, schools for families. So there is a lot going for it as well. Next slide. A little bit about the project. So wanted to start kind of at the bottom of the slide for everyone on this call. Affordable quality childcare is front and center. We have 7,400 square feet of indoor and outdoor early childhood education center space on the ground floor. I'll let Tim and Pamela speak a little bit more to this, but we're currently estimating serving about 45 children from 6 weeks to 5 years, with a mix of families being served from both the property as well as the larger East Colfax neighborhood. The overall project highlights, I'll say here that we've recorded our larger community Zoom town hall, which was on last Thursday, the June 4th, and that has a lot of detail on the project. If you're more interested in that, that is it's on our website, and we're going to send a bookmarked version for your convenience after this meeting. 81 units of affordable housing on floors 2 through 5, with a pretty wide range of affordability, both from extremely low income to moderate for income for families. All 81 units will be permanently income restricted for 99 years. And that was really important for the city to have that long-term affordability for this neighborhood. And we really wanted to focus for affordable housing for families. So we've programmed the residential units with as many 3 and 4 bedroom apartments that we can. We know these are hard to find in the local rental markets. A lot of community amenities, which are family focused, a great second floor courtyard, youth programming, resident service spaces. We know security for both residential and educational components will be very important for this project, and they're baked into the design. And lastly, you know, we feel like there's a great cohesion of resident services for both what Mercy provides and Mile High Early Learning provides for their families that they serve. We think it's going to be really exciting. This really doubles our impact in the neighborhood. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim Van Meter right now. Mercy's really excited to work with Van Meter on the design here. And Tim, take it away.
Sorry about that. You can see the building's quite different now. Cool showed you the existing building, a 1-story strip surrounded by asphalt. I mean, soup to nuts, encapsulated of the site. This is showing an image of the transformation of the site into a mixed-use urban building up on the corridor. On levels 2 through 5, you know, it's 81 affordable family dwelling units. On the second floor there on the corner, you're seeing that's where we have our amenity spaces, a community room, workout spaces, offices, a conference room, a little computer center. In other words, a variety of spaces that serve, you know, just for the families that are living here. What you're not seeing in this image is we have a fairly large courtyard that's buried back into this building that becomes the open space element to utilize for the families. But what's really exciting and important about this is our activation of the street through the Mile High's Early Childhood Learning Center. And that's what you're seeing stretch. This is a view along Colfax at Valencia, and the Early Childhood Education Center, you know, stretches out along the entire face and helps activate the street. So we get a lot of eyes back on the street, a lot of windows back on the street. To the left of the screen and Valencia's, we'll have a small drop-off area for those who are arriving at Mile High's facility from outside our building and need to drive. That will have a small drop-off area. And right there at the corner is our entry. Jennifer, could I have the next slide, please? So this is, you know, in context, we're looking at, you know, eye level. There's our 50,000 foot level of looking down. Now you see the courtyard for the families that is at the center of the building. Next slide, please. And here's a floor plan now. The blue that you're seeing is the Early Childhood Education Center. That kind of orange color that's behind it, that's how we're entering the building for the residences, getting to the elevators. You see we have a lot of parking we need to accommodate, not just for the residents, but 5 spaces also dedicated for staff of the Early Childhood Education Center. The parking is secure. And really excitingly is the green space that you see to the right of the Early Childhood. That's our open air, but really innovative space, a play area. Next slide, please. I think, yeah, we have a larger floor plan. Good. So this is kind of a detailed layout of how Mile High's facility would work. To the left is we have our small entry greeting lobby surrounded by offices and family services. A corridor in the middle where we can get not just to the classrooms, but we have a lot of support spaces that are at the rear of the facility. 4 classrooms, 2 preschool, a toddler, and an infant facility. And then this really interesting play space, and I'd like to focus a little bit here. The indoor space is about 5,647 square feet. The outdoor space is 2,429 square feet. And what's interesting and what's going to be new about this project, but actually I think it's far more in the positive node, is that our entire outdoor play area is covered by housing above, but it's 25 feet tall. And we're able to get full daylight into this facility, but also have it be covered from the elements. Let's go to that slide. I believe it's the next one, Jennifer. And so we've got an image that's going to come up. There it is, an image of this space and how it may look. Obviously, this is just our concept right now. We need a lot of input on how to make this thing really come alive. But what we have, think of a 25-foot high space that's completely open air on two sides. You're seeing it look out over Colfax, but it's secure from Colfax. So we have a bunch of laminated glass that's there that help bounce sound back out, but also create security. But we also want to engage the street. We want the children to know the environment they're in. Then they bring nature back into this space. Obviously, this isn't real grass. We'll put some kind of turf down, but artificial turf with a soft surface and soft surface play areas to kind of bring a sense of nature back in. But to me, what's exciting about this, after having done a couple of these, is that this is year round. You can use the space year round. It's raining out, kids are dry. If it's snowing out, kids got coat on, but they're not trapping mud back into the facility and things like that. And we get full sunlight. That's south facing. You know what south facing Colorado is like, especially in the winter. It's going to be fully daylit on the inside here. But also in the summer, when it's sometimes it gets brutally hot outside, we have full shade. So this is kind of passive solar doing its best for an outdoor facility. So this is something we're really excited about how to design and program this space and make it a significant community amenity. I believe that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. I'd like to hand over the mic, so to speak, to Pamela Harris from Mile High Early Learning. Pamela.
Thank you, Ellen. Good morning again. We have many partners on the line who we've worked with for a number of years, so appreciate you coming to hear about this new project. We are Montessori inspired. We use the practices and philosophy of Maria Montessori to support our children. We're the largest and oldest provider of subsidized early care and education in Denver. And our focus is on serving those communities with families who are underserved and under-resourced. Over 90% of our families live at or below federal poverty. That's about $26,000 a year for a family of 4. Predominantly, our families are from communities of color, primarily Hispanic, Latino, and African American Black. We also have families from 18 different countries, speaking 30 different languages. 2/3 of our families are one-parent households. And as you can see, a majority of our families are working with a strong percentage also in school. Next slide, please.
I believe that was
Oh, this
the,
is it.
Yeah, hi, sorry, this is Kuehl again.
That's okay.
Pamela, thank you. Jennifer, you want to advance? I think the next slide is mine.
yes.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you, Pamela, again. So, we wanted just to, and then I will also say for Pamela's benefit, on the public meeting recording that we did last Thursday, there is a lot more information on Mile High, and we can certainly provide that on anyone on the call who's not familiar with Pamela's organization. So this slide is just a snapshot of our overall project funding that we're anticipating for the 8315 East Colfax. About 5% of our total development cost are going to, or 1.5 million, will be required to construct the build out of that ECE center with the necessary tenant improvements prior to Mile High taking lease to the property in late 2022. So in 2020, our capital fundraising effort is really about gathering support for funding required for this ECE center. We're highlighting the child care contribution tax credit for individuals and corporations with Colorado tax liability. We're also in an opportunity zone, which may have some benefit for potential investors. So we wanted to highlight those two items. Other sources for our residential, the city of Denver has very committed and has been a great partner on the project to date. They do own the land. They are planning to donate the land that's valued at $1.3 million plus additional soft funding. The housing tax credit award from the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, which will be the bulk of our residential funding. We will be applying for that in August of this year. And so that's a competitive application. And, you know, Mercy's finally really, you know, I just want to say we're excited to be partnering with Mile High Early Learning as our chosen EC operator for this space. And I'll go to the next slide. So this is a little bit of a snapshot on our timeline. Again, the critical dates are August for our major residential competitive funding application to the Colorado Housing Finance Authority with an anticipated November award of this year. The bulk of 2020 is dedicated to sourcing the remainder of funding, including our ECE capital campaign, and which is contingent on the housing credit award. And 2021 is really design, planning, city entitlement work with construction starting in the third quarter of next year. And again, and then we'd be looking to shore up any and all commitments before we start on that. In late 2022 is our best estimate for project delivery of both residential and ECE spaces. So again, you know, Mercy, we're very excited to be working with Mile High Early Learning as our chosen EC operator for the space. We do plan to master lease the ground floor commercial space to Mile High at a below market and nominal lease rate, which will really help to offset other operational costs we know Mile High and early subsidized childcare providers have, but really to ensure the operational success for the center and Mile High funding model. So, you know, I kind of see this as a win-win for both the project partners and the community. We're helping Mile High expand their footprint in East Denver with an innovative landlord relationship, but we're also helping the community and working families as we provide a stable community resource well into the future. So that, I think, wraps up the kind of formal presentation here. I'm gonna turn it back to Ellen to open it up now for a discussion.
Yes, thanks, Kuhl. Next slide, Jennifer. So like Kuhl just said, that was the meat of the presentation, and we would love to open it up to all of you. If anybody has a question or a comment, please just unmute yourself.
I have a couple in the chat. Ellen, this is Jennifer. Keller, this is gorgeous. Thank you, Keller. And from Nicole, are you applying for CHFA for only LIHTC, or are you also pursuing new market?
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. This is Kuhl again. Thanks for that question. We did evaluate the project, especially the commercial space for the new market tax credits. Unfortunately, we're at a spot where it doesn't make financial sense for the efficiency and kind of the difficulty of acquiring the new market tax credits for the space. Typically, you need about at least development costs of somewhere upward of 6 million to really capitalize that. So at this portion, we're really looking at only LIHTC for the residential or low-income housing tax credits for the residential. And since the 5% would be for the commercial space or the early childhood education center, we feel like this is probably best utilized with just a direct fundraising investment. We are looking at some alternative program related investments as well. So thank you.
All right, I have something else in the chat. Oh, Nicole, thanks for confirming. Also, can you speak to the breakdown of ages served in the ECE program? It appears the infant room may only serve 3 infants.
Yeah, Tim or Pamela, can we confirm? I thought we were up to at least 5 or 8 infants in that room.
We actually increased the size, so I'm just let me double check my numbers.
Hi, this is Tim. We can have up to 8 infants in that room.
We, Nicole, we, it's the minimum size for infants, but we wanted to make sure that we served all ages.
And the other part of the question, can you speak to the breakdown of ages served in the ECE program?
So we're looking at children 6 weeks to 5 years. So we'd have 2 preschool classrooms, a toddler classroom, and an infant classroom.
Thank you, Pamela. From Ben Bynum. Hi, for the $1.5 million gap, are you looking for bridging funding to a future ongoing capital campaign, or are you aiming for longer term debt?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bynum. This is Kuhl again.
Apologize for the typo there.
So, sorry, are you guys hearing me?
Yes.
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 Okay. Yeah, so no, that's a great question. We're looking for full commitment to the 1.5 by next year, and we're really thinking of this as less of a bridge funding than a combination of mostly direct investment or grants, i.e. just funding from individual donors, foundations, with a potential to have probably 25 to 35% as a either program related investment or some type of longer term debt which can be soft on the project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, thank you.
And we definitely want to follow up for sure.
Okay, great.
Wonderful. And this is from Nicole. Okay, thanks. It was a bit difficult to see the square footage on the floor plan, so thanks for confirming, Pamela and Tim. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Dr. Bynum.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
Oh, we do have more. I love it. This is from Keller, and that 1.5 million that you're referring to is just for the ECE Center, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. The overall funding for the project is about 28 million, and we've carved out the 1.5 for the ECE building center build out, as well as that play area that Tim showed us.
Any other questions?
I think there's one from Patrick.
I do have something else here from Keller. I don't see one from Patrick, but from Keller. Thanks. Can you speak to your ideal capital types for the residential part of this work?
And if that's not the focus, that's really not the focus of today's conversation. So if we want to get into that offline, that's totally fine too. So, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. So just to answer that quickly, yeah. So the capital stack for the residential portion again is primarily through about half of that would be through the competitive housing tax credit application, which is what Nicole was talking about with the low income housing tax credit. That is a competitive application we're going to be doing in August. The remainder is soft funding from the state and city for the residential portion, as well as some Mercy is putting their own money in with some deferred fee, and then we'll have conventional debt with a just longer term debt on the residential portion as well.
Thank you, Kuhl. We do have a few here, and I'm trying to do them in order, guys. They're coming so fast. You guys are awesome. So let me see. Connie asked if we, oh, I do see one from Patrick. Hang on a sec. That was right before that one, I think. Oh, I don't see it now. Can you tell us more about your workforce development programs? And I guess that would be for Pamela.
Yes, thanks. Hi, Connie. So we have programs for people who are just entering into the field of early childhood, the Child Development Associate. It's a foundational credential, and our partners in providing this are also on the call. So Denver Preschool Program has been a great support. We also have sort of something on the other end of the continuum, Master of Arts in Community and Social Justice that's in partnership with the University of Colorado, Denver. And actually we have one of our students enrolled students also on this call, so I'm excited about that. We, for our family, friend, and neighbor caregivers or families whose children aren't yet enrolled in a formal program, we have Babies Ready for College, which is a 10 to 12 week curriculum where caregivers are learning about child development and nutrition and advocacy while children are being cared for by trained child care providers. And that is, it's kind of a general information, and we think of it a little bit as an on-ramp to our Child Development Associate program. And then we also have a program that's focused on working with children who have special needs or behaviors that are challenging to adults. And that also is a partnership with University of Colorado, Denver. All of those programs, it's not Babies Ready for College, but the others are also continuing education programs so people can get college credit.
Thank you, Pamela. And Patrick, I do see one here from you, so I apologize. Patrick says, I am wondering if there's an opportunity to tie healthy nutrition into the plan. For example, perhaps a rooftop community garden space. Do you want me to?
I'm sorry, Patrick, I love that. I love the comment. And, you know, I'll let Tim talk to the difficulty of trying to provide rooftop gardens. But if we have any additional money, and you know, that would be something, or even in the courtyard area, having some type of, we do know this, as well as being an ECE desert, is probably a healthy food desert as well. And so that's certainly on our radar as we look as a comprehensive residential service package for the folks living there.
And then I would only add that part of the Mercy Housing Resident Services programming, we have partnered with Miracle Grow to provide those like aquapods or hydroponic garden pieces. And we've been able to garden in our community centers year round with that partnership. We have another question here from Keller, and is it Ann? Maybe it's Ann Keller, so I apologize the way it
No,
comes across.
it's Keller, Ann.
Keller, okay.
Yeah, thank you. And that was just a note of
Thank
thanks
you.
for clarifying. Yeah, thanks.
And then Connie, this is so important for larger community development. So glad to have you as a partner to Mile High, so thank you. I don't see any more right now in the chat. So you guys can unmute yourselves and ask questions directly too if you wish.
Okay, we'll just give it another few seconds if anybody has a question. Okay, Jennifer, why don't we move on to the next slide, please?
I think we have one more. Hey,
Good.
Oh, okay. Keller was saying thank you. You guys are awesome. I really love this group.
So is this my slide, Ellen?
It's your slide, Kuehl.
Okay, well, great. So again, thanks everyone for being on the call. And, you know we've spoken to some of you individually, and we thank you for the ongoing interest and support here for the work we're doing, and especially for this important project. You know, the immediate goal, I think, here is, honestly, I think we're there. It was really to bring a diverse group of stakeholders, from policy to, you know, potential funders together to engage on this project. So again, you know, that's one goal that we think we're moving forward on, and really thank you. And if you have any co-workers or colleagues that, you know, you want to share this with, please do. The other kind of critical short-term goal here, you know, our Mercy has really will be requesting some initial letters of support and soft pledge commitments. You know, we're looking to achieve at minimum at least half of our ECE goal of 750, but hopefully more by the early August. That's going to be critical to leverage our residential funding via the housing credit competitive application. CHAFA, of course, as everyone knows, or most people may know on this call, it's becoming more and more competitive to get our residential funding stacked up, so to speak. And any leverage we have to show CHAFA, hey, this is ready. We can meet our timing obligations and will not have issues on the ECE portion. Ellen, I'm going to turn it over to you. I think you wanted to talk a little bit more about what our next steps are with folks on the line.
Yes, it's repeating a little bit of what you just said, Kuhl, and I just wanted to say that there are different types of constituents on this call, and some are hearing about this project for the first time, and others have. We've already had many conversations, and you've already expressed your interest in becoming involved. And I just wanted to say that our near-term goal is to be following up with everybody and continuing the conversation and to continue engaging you in our process and wherever you are at the process. So we look forward to that opportunity after this call and in the next couple of weeks to be back to you.
Yeah, and so I would say for the longer term goals here, I'll just speak quickly to these. So clearly we need to have all the funding commitments for that $1.5 million goal prior to next spring, or by next spring and prior to construction starting in 2021. We'll also be exploring with folks on this call and stakeholders alternatives for funding for this ECE capital cost, such as that program related investment piece that I mentioned. And finally, this is a mixed housing education model. We are doing, by nature, is very unique. It's innovative in addressing two critical issues within communities across Colorado and the rest of America. We're looking for partners to help Mercy create a replicable model that aligns with best practices and will hopefully become a great regional example of what we can do together. So that's all I have. And, I'll turn it back over to Ellen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kuhl. Before we say goodbye, I just wanted to open it up again if anybody had a question or a comment about our next steps or just the project in general.
Hi all, this is Ellen from the Denver Preschool Program. I just want to take a moment and thank you all for the work that you're doing. We've been a part of different types of concepts like this for more than 3 years, and it's really beautiful to see it come to fruition. And so eager to help support. I think, as Pamela mentioned, our partnership with Mile High Early Learning, happy to continue in all ways, but we'll stay close with Pamela throughout this. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
We do have one more comment from the chat, Jay Walsh. It is so exciting to see this project and anticipate the impact it will have on the entire community, especially the families and young children in such an underserved area. Thank you, Jay Walsh.
Any other questions, comments? Well, on behalf of Mercy Housing, thank you, everybody.
I was sorry, Jennifer. I'm sorry. I was trying to get out mute. This is Ben Bynum, and I have my colleague Rose Green on as well from the Colorado Health Foundation. We just want to make a plea for partnership. If there are funders that are interested in, whether we share due diligence or legal expenses or whatever, please reach out to Rose or myself at the Colorado Health Foundation around funding partnerships if you're interested in this particular partnership and potentially interested in a potential funding partnership as well. So just want to share that with folks.
Thank you, Dr. Bynum.
Good, thanks.
Hi, this is Nicole Real with Epic. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yes.
Great. I have a quick question. I know that early on in this project, there were some ideas around trying to incorporate family child care home providers into the housing area. Is that still something that you are thinking about, or was that just not feasible with the the play space and you know, certain aspects of the project. Curious about that.
Yeah, and thank you, Nicole, for that. Yes, this is Kuehl again. You know, so we've looked at it, and I'll just say that under the current Colorado state statutes for in-home childcare, it doesn't seem feasible at this point, and that could change, and it doesn't mean we have a little bit of running room here. We wouldn't rule it out, but that's my initial takeaway. And I've you know, I am contacting. We do have a Lisa Grant with Early Childhood by Design as a ECE consultant on here. She's running a little more due diligence on that. This is a model we have used in California, which, you know, their state regulations are obviously different state by state. We think it would be a great model if it was feasible, and we're still looking at that. But right now, it's leaning towards not.
Thanks, Kuehl.
Thanks for clarifying. And are you referring to the state statutes of care being required to happen on the ground floor?
That's the primary one, yeah. Obviously, our second floor, we had kind of targeted that second floor, maybe making one of the 2 or 3 bedroom units on that abut the courtyard by having a, you know, like I think we discussed, having maybe even a separate kind of little tot lot just right next door in a patio space that was defined from the larger community space, which is how we've done them in California. But again, yeah, with the first floor regulation, I think there were a few other things that just kind of made it a little more daunting with everything else we have going on with this project. So again, not totally out of the question, but it seemed to be harder to do here.
Yep, thanks for clarifying that. So there is now precedent for childcare to actually happen on a 3rd floor setting in Denver. But you know, family childcare homes, that hasn't quite happened yet. So, but no, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Hello, can you all hear me?
We can. Hi,
Hi,
Rose.
this is Rose, also from the Colorado Health Foundation. Ben, thanks for making that plea. I also just wanted to ask about what you all were thinking about next steps in terms of engaging the community or thinking through how they might be involved in figuring out how this should come together.
Yeah, Rose, thank you. This is Kuehl again. So as I had mentioned on the a little earlier in the presentation, we've obviously a lot of the community engagement, and Radiant Inc., who's our community engagement team and partner on this project, has been great. And we, you know, with the COVID-19 and everything happening with that pandemic, a lot of our initial community engagement has been modified to be more on a virtual platform at this point. And we've done an initial virtual town hall Zoom meeting, which is online. We had a fairly good turnout there, although, you know, considering all in. The other thing we are going to be doing is circling back with the East Colfax Neighborhood Association, as well as the East Colfax Community Collaborative and the FACS partnership to be further informing them and getting more feedback on the project. We are also having a ECE stakeholder meeting, which will really just kind of be around definition of what ECE programming should look like at this site, kind of firming up some of our assumptions with you know, local end users in that community, as well as current child care and early education providers. So we'll be posting that, and that's going to be coming up in probably early July.
Thanks, Kuehl.
Hi, this is Nicole Real again. You may have already said this, but are you planning to share either the presentation or the renderings that you've shared with us today? I mean, I think the renderings and the mock-ups are really compelling, and I think are great tools for us to use to share this project with others.
Yeah, absolutely, Nicole. Thank you for the prompt. The recording we are doing right now will be available, and we will circulate it back to the folks that are on this call. And we're putting a bookmarked version of our bigger public presentation that kind of, so you can speed through if you're interested in certain aspects of the program. And lastly, yes, I think Tim would be happy to let us use some of the renderings shown to date for gathering more support for the EC program. So absolutely.
We have a chat here. Oh, also the website will have all the information, right? Yes, Connie, we will also have it on our website. And I can share my screen again, just so that you can see that, that address here. It's www.8315eastcolfax.org. East is spelled out. And if you have any trouble accessing the website, you can reach out to us directly. Kuehl's number is 303-830-3470. And Ellen's number is 303-830-3459. Just for those on a phone and not able to see the screen. And we have another chat. Is that a good reminder from Connie that we do update the website regularly with more information as we are able to, and it becomes available. We try to put it up as soon as possible.
Thanks, Jennifer. Any last questions? Well, then, thanks, everybody. Again, appreciate you all being here this morning and for your already thoughtful questions and comments. And please feel free to reach out to Kuehl or me, and of course, check the Colfax website. But we will also, like we said, be following up with everybody and bringing you up to date as we keep moving forward on this exciting project. And thank you to Tim and Pamela for being here with us today and helping to show off what we're doing. So
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. We really
Bye.
appreciate it. Okay, bye.
Bye.